Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to be going over today's market and today's price action, what I ended up taking today. Just going to do a little recap. I ended up taking one trade today and I ended up hitting full TP on this trade. I made around $480 or $500. I'm not 100% sure what the P&L was, but let's go over what I ended up taking. So coming into today, overall, I was leaning more bullish, but if anything, I was pretty neutral. Reason being is because, as you can see, in this range that we're currently in right now, on the higher time frame, on the 4 hour, whatever it may be, we are clearly trending lower, right? So we're definitely in a bearish trend at this moment in time. But then again, if we want to come down here to this current move that we're on, yesterday Asia session did open up this huge new week opening gap, and then we have just been trending towards that new week opening gap since in the overnight sessions, such as London and the rest of Asia too. This is the 9 a.m. candle, so we had this unfilled hourly gap down here as well, which I was looking at. We had unfilled gaps, so in my opinion, we were pretty overextended here in this range. So I could definitely see both sides of the story. I could see bearish price action playing out, or bullish price action, depending on what we wanted to do. But overall, I was leaning more bullish because I did want to see this entire new week opening gap get filled, right? So with that in mind, let's just go into what was happening prior 9:30. I was kind of going to base the trade that I took off of what 9:30 does, because that's always what you kind of want to be keeping in mind, because you don't want to have a bias and then 9:30 tells you something different and then just completely stay married to that bias. You have got to be more reactionary, especially when a higher time frame candle opens, such as 9:30, right? So prior 9:30, what were we doing? Pretty simple stuff. We were literally just accumulating here, right? Accumulating. So with this accumulation zone, what can you expect 9:30 to do? It's pretty simple, right? You can expect it to manipulate in either lower or higher. That is what you want to see, because that is what will present the most opportunities, because that is a higher time frame. That is not a higher time frame. It's a higher time frame candle opening. Higher time frame candle opening, and it's also the beginning of the session, but it is a PO3. So I was looking for a PO3 to the downside, preferably here, where we may potentially sweep out London session lows or tap at this unfilled hourly gap and then potentially make moves higher from there to target the high resting inside of the new week opening gap right here, right? So what does market do on open? Boom. Market opens higher here, so we manipulate out of this accumulation zone and we sweep out the high inside of the new week opening gap, and we manipulate into this new week opening gap as well. Sorry, I don't know, I kind of said that a bit weirdly, but you get what I mean. And the significance of this is that we also had an SMT with this right here, right? So the S&P 500 failed to manipulate above this, the high that it created inside of its new week opening gap, and we had that unfilled hourly gap below us. Obviously, it's showing here that we did tap it, but this is just trading view. We had not tapped this hourly gap yet. So I was looking at this hourly gap as like my next agreed upon DOL, especially with the SMT. The SMT with the PO3, with the S&P 500. So again, market accumulated, manipulated higher at 9:30. We sweep out this buy side liquidity inside this new week opening gap, and then with this, I was just looking for confirmation to either take some shorts from, because again, I wasn't going to be married. So we did open up these 2-3 minute gaps right here. So I was sort of thinking in my head, okay, cool. If we are going to be bearish in this sense, I want to see some strong displacement lower. And the good thing about this trade, which I really liked as well, was the idea of how much low resistance liquidity we had generated below us here. We had some really clean targets. We had these equal lows. We had this failure swing lower. Oops. We had this failure swing lower. So, and we had this unfilled gap, right? So we just had a bunch of low resistance liquidity leading up to that higher time frame DOL, being the hourly gap. And we were pretty overextended, and there wasn't really any valid retrace that I felt was good enough for us to deliver fully through that new week opening gap. So I was 100% looking for this to get taken either way. So after this, I think we did end up opening a 5-minute gap here. But the thing is, you'll see with this next candle, well, like it's just this is just really obvious to me. I've back tested a lot of hours, I've collected a lot of data, and I've seen things like this happen a lot, right? So I ended up taking this short. Now at this time there was a 5-minute gap, but I did not wait for the 5-minute gap to get inversed. Simply the reason being is because I felt like it was extremely insignificant against this higher time frame move to manipulate into this hourly gap and sweep out this low resistance liquidity that we had generated pre-market, or even potentially come down to London lows. Like I didn't know where we wanted to go, but I knew this was an area that we'd want to take, right? This is just all low hanging fruit, right? So I ended up getting my, where was it? I ended up getting my entry, I think it was right here. Yep, so I ended up getting my entry like kind of like around here at like 2412 is when I got my entry, and my stop loss was 64 points. I had my stop loss at this bearish body candle closure on the 1 minute, which was protected by this 1 minute fair value gap, which I would not want to see us get inversed, considering we were also in a 5 minute, so I was taking cautions with that. For sure, there's no point in having it all the way up here, in my opinion. You could have if you wanted to, but just for me, this made the most sense. And I was literally just targeting these equal lows here. So it's just the low hanging fruit, which I was targeting. Or no, sorry, what was I targeting? I think I was targeting, yeah, these. There's just this low resistance liquidity right here. So these equal lows and then this low right here. So my TP was 70 points, stop loss was 64. For break even wise, I went break even once the S&P 500 ended up sweeping out this low, which was the hourly low, which I wanted to see get taken. I ended up going break even there. And I think that was around, where was it? Was it here? Yeah, it was right here. So I ended up going break even at this 942 candle when the S&P 500 swept at this. And then boom, it was just instant TP right after that. And it was literally like a perfect TP because I would have gotten break even if I tried to hold to full DOL here, being the hourly. Now this does end up getting hit. I think you could have ended up getting wicked out of break even and then it ends up running to your final take profit. But the reason why I just targeted the low resistance liquidity here instead of holding for those couple extra points to that hourly draw was simply just because we already had an SMT there. So that was my TP originally, but I did move it once I seen the SMT. So it's just me managing my position, because I felt like the Nasdaq very obviously wanted these lows and also this hourly low. But with the SMT, I did just have some extra precaution there to make sure that I could just secure my profits for the day and get off, which is exactly what I did. So I ended up entering my trade here at like 9:39, and I was basically done. So it was like 10 minutes on the market. Sorry, 9:39. 1, 2, 3. So it's like, yeah, 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes, 12, 13 minutes on the market, and I was already done for the day. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, I would rate this setup. I really did like this. I just had a lot of conviction in this, and I've seen things like this happen a lot of times before, especially through collecting data. So that was just something I like. I love the 930 PO3 external SMT, which holds significance inside of a key level. Clear draw, lower agreed upon DOL, lower low resistance liquidity leading up to that draw, great displacement through those 2-3 minute gaps, and it's just it's really really nice. It's not really much I could ask for, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will go over another trade though that did end up presenting itself. I think it was, we ended up delivering to this point here, and we ended up inversing this 5 minute gap, and in the end this ended up being a failure, and I did say that this was a poor entry. Reason being is because it was very very close to the 10 a.m. open, so the 10 a.m. did end up opening higher here. But the thing is about this, we left an unfilled 4-hour gap at your stop loss, right? And the thing is about that is I just wasn't a fan of that. I didn't like this 5 minute inverse. Even at this, I didn't even believe, after seeing this displacement, I still didn't believe that this 5 minute was going to play out because of that 4-hour lower. And I feel like that was definitely a draw that we want to come take, being this right here, this unfilled 4-hour gap. Sorry, let me get rid of this. So this was like, obviously I was done for the day, but I was just like looking at the charts just to see what we were doing, just because why not? Like I wasn't going to take any more trades. And then yeah, this 5 minute ends up failing pretty badly here. Well, if you had your stop loss here, you got saved by an SMT so badly. But yeah, or if you didn't go break even at all. But yeah, no, I don't rate this 5 minute. I probably rate this 5 minute inverse like a C plus, maybe B minus. I don't like it at all, especially because it was literally as 10 a.m. opened, and also we had an unfilled 4-hour at your stop loss. So we ended up getting an SMT internally, or I guess externally, but we had an SMT inside of this 4-hour gap, where ES ended up coming down and manipulating inside of this 4-hour. Now this SMT is a SMT with significance. Why? Because one, it is in a higher time frame key level that is supporting of the trend, so we are clearly being bullish to fill this new week opening gap, especially with this manipulation move that we had lower here to sweep out this. Then we had this failure swing that we poked in here after inversing the 5 minute gap, which is low resistance liquidity leading up to that higher time frame DOL. So now, obviously, in this sense, we are really much with the trend, especially as we can see here on the higher time frame. What are we doing? We're just delivering towards this new week opening gap. The trade that I took wasn't really with the trend, I guess. It kind of wasn't. It was kind of counter trend, I suppose. But with the 930 narrative, it was just really clean. It was more like one of those A plus counter trend trades, in my opinion, because we were definitely seeking a rebalance here. So I basically got in on the trade that was seeking the rebalance. And then, so yeah, anyway, we had this manipulation lower again, SMT inside of this 4 hour gap that we had, and then we got the 2 minute inversion right here. Now, if you faded this 2 minute, that is kind of fair, I'm not gonna lie, because boom, this is the 2 minute inverse that we had right after that. If you did fade this 2 minute, that's fair enough, because price action overall was not really great after we did deliver here. So it is a lot of chop, but I personally don't think I would have faded this 2 minute. Obviously, this is me talking in hindsight. If I didn't take that first trade, I feel like I definitely would have taken the second trade. Reason being is because it's just, I don't know, I like it. I don't think the structure here is bad. I think the structure is not terrible. We definitely generated some good low resistance up to that higher time frame DOL, and after that SMT inside of that 4 hour gap with this 2 minute inverse. And what I liked about this 2 minute inverse is, first of all, we actually ended up respecting the 2 minute gap. But where did we go after we respected the 2 minute gap? Nowhere. We didn't move lower at all, right? We respected this 2 minute gap and we failed to make a move lower. And then on the next candle, we instantly rip right through it, basically telling us that we are invalidating this gap completely and we want to make a move higher. So boom, here was the entry on this 2 minute. Boom, boom, stop loss at the SMT low, so 73-point stop loss, and you were targeting this low resistance, or you could have targeted full draw. It's whatever you want to do, but I personally would have targeted this low resistance, 85 points, and just get the low hanging fruit and get out. Of course, if you wanted to, though, it would be completely logical to hold to that full DOL. But again, just get your piece of the pie and get out, in my opinion. Now, I've seen a lot of people actually ended up going break even here at this 1 minute gap, which I don't agree with personally, because if we're going to be bullish from this higher time frame, fair value gap being the 4 hour, and we have an SMT inside of it, and we are going to be bullish to fill this new week opening gap, and we just inversed a 2 minute gap, why would you be going break even at a 1 minute gap? That doesn't make any sense. The higher time frame holds higher power. That would be like me saying that I'm going to take this 1 minute, or this 1 minute inversion right here, for example, like right here, I'm going to take this 1 minute inversion, but I'm going to go break even at this 30-second right here, where my DOL is here. I'm going to go break even at this 30-second. But like that doesn't make any sense, because we've just inversed a higher time frame fair value gap than the 1 minute. So why would you be worrying about the 1 minute as an area that we can reject off of, right? So I think some people ended up going break even right here on this candle as well, which I also don't really agree with, because in this sense, because this is how I've been not losing, but this is how I've been getting break even a lot on a lot of trades, is because I feel like with this, especially with this displacement candle upwards, we don't really have any reasoning to not go to this low now, or to this high now. But that doesn't mean that every time we do this, it's like, okay, there's the displacement candle, so we have to deliver there now, right? Like, that's not, the market doesn't do that. The market doesn't care about like your feelings, in a sense that it's not gonna just displace towards the draw every single time, like super cleanly. You know what I mean? So I think going break even off of the displacement here was not a terrible idea, but I also don't really agree with it, because we have now literally nothing to reject off of, right? We've inversed this 1 minute gap fully, so we have nothing to reject off of. So if you are going break even here, you are literally just going break even, in my opinion now, unless you had a logical reasoning for it. You are literally just going break even just for peace of mind, right? Just because you're like, okay, we just placed here, cool, I'm just going to go break even. Instead of saying, okay, we've just inversed everything, there's nothing we can reject off, I'm not going to go break even, because this trade is even more obvious now, and I don't want to risk getting my break even whipped out and then run to my TP, right? And that's actually exactly what ends up happening here. I literally said this, obviously hindsight warrior, but I was literally saying this in the Discord that I was in. I was like, I wouldn't be going break even here on this trade, because it has a chance to do this, and then what does it do right after this? delivers to your TP. Do you know what I mean? Because like your stop loss is protected, everything is protected here. We have nothing to reverse off of, right? Literally nothing to reverse off of. So why would you be going break even? You got to ask yourself that question. I feel, because like if we have nothing to reverse off of, then you're just going break even for peace of mind, and you're not going break even for a logical reason. Unless your reasoning was like, I wanted to see us just instantly displace. But again, as I already said, the market isn't always just going to instantly displace. It can have these small little retraces or whatever, and then go towards your DOL. So yeah, that's basically it for today's recap, and that's what I thought about that second trade. W hindsight warrior for me, and then from there we did end up delivering. Come on, come on, come on. Boom. Fully filled the new week opening gap. So the daily objective for the day was completed at 11:15. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's recap, guys. Let me know if you guys ended up taking anything today. If you ended up taking the same trade as me, maybe you took this 2 minute and you won, or you got break even, or whatever it may be. Let me know if you took a loss or a win or whatever you ended up taking today. Leave it in the comments below. I love hearing back from people what they ended up taking too. It's always super cool to see. And yeah, if you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments. If you have any questions for me personally that you want to ask me, you can add me on Instagram, Discord, or TikTok, and shoot me a DM on any three of those platforms. I'll 100% be able to respond to you guys. Whoever would like to ask a question, because yeah, that's what I'm doing this for. I'm going to become so profitable to the point where I can teach others how to do the same, and I can teach others how to change their lives for the better too. And yeah, that's what this entire YouTube channel is about. We're documenting the entire journey to profitability, so I'm super excited for the future for that. And yeah, a good day today overall. Price action wasn't that great, but a lot of people were saying there was a lack of opportunity, but I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I think there was a pretty decent opportunity today, but if you've seen different, then of course that's fair enough. Everybody sees the market differently. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's recap. I will catch you guys tomorrow in Tuesday's recap, which will be tomorrow. So peace out. Thanks for watching.